the world is a blue-eyes Odion deck? Make sure you guys smash the little crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more content. So today we're going to be looking at the Western Australian breakdown for you here for this event. And this event is kind of interesting because there was not a lot of what I would consider the expected. You know, most people out here were expecting, you know, like maybe Mitsurugi domination, but no, that wasn't the case. Now, Malice ended up having a major foothold on this. We've talked a lot about Malice kind of being this very strong challenger outside of, you know, the U.S. You know, both the French Open and Western Australia were both taken by Malice, which is a pretty, I guess, common thing at this point. But the other thing that kind of had my attention here was this Heraldic Ryzeal domination that kind of came out of what felt like nowhere out here, because I know a few people were messing around with the concept of this deck, but nothing really ever felt like it got off of the ground. It was just kind of, oh, hey, you know, this is something that you can kind of do. You know, you got some built-in tips and tricks that you can sure mess around with. But that was about it. Nothing else really kind of got off the ground with that. So I found that was kind of interesting. And we also did have two Mitsurugi builds, which were they're both Ryzeal Mitsurugi. And then the thing that caught my attention was we had a Blue Eyes Odion deck, which means somebody took the Blue Eyes cards and combined them with Odion. For what purpose and intention, I'm not entirely sure about. But the fact that it was stable enough to make its way into top 8 proves that, you know, we might be seeing a cool new idea sitting here. And you guys know I love my absolutely bad ideas. So let's pass on over to those deck lists. All right, so starting things off here, we have our Malice special. And the first thing that draws my attention down here is we're playing a copy of Mystical Ref Panel in the side deck. Well, I mean, any target or card that targets the player, that effect becomes the effect applied to the opponent. So draw cards, potential things like that. It's a cute idea. I didn't really think that we would see this running around. You also got Mistaken Arrest in here, which is a pretty gosh darn good card. And of course, some Cycle Readers kind of clean up some bad things the opponent might be doing. But also, Code of the Soul, making a very interesting appearance down here. I cannot think of any current modern era Malice players really truly deciding to play this, but the fact that we do see this seeing play out of this event, I think is a little bit of a game changer out here. Maybe the TCG, maybe we do need to consider playing this more often if this looks like it is going to bring itself together. Next up here, we have our Heraldic Ryzeal special. Now, I do see, yep, we are focusing on the Arch Nemesis Proto stuff, and we are focusing less on the hand-ripping capabilities of what this deck is supposed to do. Now, I'll be honest with you, I do think wholeheartedly that I want to play this deck as the hand-ripping deck, but being able to Protos lock, you know, after you toggle on into the Nemesis flag off of the Infernal Flame Banshee, I do think that that is a pretty good thing. We're also going with 777 Ascension, 777 Tachyon. Pretty standard good stuff here to Advanced Heraldry. No other spells though, so we're not trying like the Reborn or anything like that. I did like that, but for a more competitive build, yeah, I can understand why and how that this was able to perform and do well. Also, Escantos down here, pulling overtime weight. I like that. You got the whole squad here. All right, next up here, we have Mitsurugi Ryzeal. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. Most of these Mitsu lists have kind of become the same. You don't really get a lot of cool creativity in these lists. I do see, you know, you're going with the 777 Tachyon here. Yeah, that's fine. Most builds are bouncing back in between this and, of course, going with the 2 Harpies Featherstorm. I think once most people came off of that one YCS where we saw the results pretty much being solidified here, the format didn't really want to change off of these. I don't really blame them, because once you have good cards locked up and you have those ratios that you really want to be seeing, you have absolutely no reason to be trying to shift around on the ideas that are already working. So that's why, you know, pretty much the Mitsu Ryzeal build has been figured out. You're not going to have a lot of people really trying to change off of that. And I can respect that. You know, staying the same and having things work out for you is pretty good. Now we have more Malice for you. I respect the fact that there was so much Malice in this event. Now, you do see we are playing 2 copies of I Meet You, and we are going with triple Allure of Darkness here. I guess to be fair, it feels like a lot of this format Droll and Lockbird was kind of falling out of, which means, also, I mean, you're playing against Malice. Like, Malice gets 1 search, and that's kind of about it. They're not really worried about going 2 giga hard on things, because they usually dedicate their first search into the Red Ransom to get Field Spell, and then they're just kind of off to the races. They don't really give a crap about anything else. So I do kind of like that. This build was also kind of getting spicy. It appears that Deck Lockdown is now back in the format. I swear, man, anytime Deck Lockdown is creeping around, you know that the format is going to be massively degenerate. So I like that. Next up here, the Blue Eyes Odion pile. How in the world did you manage to cram these 2 packages together? I'm more impressed about that than I really should be. I see 1 Jet Dragon, 2 Blue Eyes. Yeah, that's fine. Triple Sage. And, of course, Triple Maiden. I mean, to be fair, this is a spell... Oh, does the dragon not matter? Level 4 lower spell count. Oh, okay, so there is some cool synergy with this. Because you can just make the man with the mark on into the Spirit Dragon. And congratulations, you're off to the races. Huh, that's kind of cool. I guess I didn't really consider that, because then you bridge on into this. You've already gotten your capitalization off of this, and then if you've got the Sage with Eyes of Blue in your hand, you can just go ahead and commit the normal to this. And, you know, you got full combo. Huh, that's actually very, very cool. And very, very interesting. Yeah, I'll take Reverse Synergy for 500. That should not work in theory, but actually does. Okay. Oh boy. Here we go again. Protos doing its job. I can tell you that these guys look like they were on a 500 IQ. We've figured out the format, and we are going to dominate this. And I like that. Once again, 2 copies of this. This build was trying out Small Worlds, which I don't hate the idea of this. Small World definitely gets you into the points of the combo where you actually really want to be able to get off that key search ability just so that you can do your thing. Also, this build going with triple Escantos? Holy crap, man. I appreciate the fact that you really, really want those power locks to stick around, but my God, man. 3 of them things? Alright, I guess. Okay, I'm just a little bit blown out by that one. And next up here, we have more Mitsurugi Ryzeal. Pretty standard thing here. I do feel bad that the other name has been cut from these lists, because... let's call it what it is. 5 ritual scene playing decks. It was kind of a cool thing. You know you liked it. You just kind of feel like at this point in time that there would have been some other cool things to be sticking around. Yeah, I do agree with you. I would have loved to have seen that. Also, going with only 2 droplets. I always love the ratios that we get the chance to see in these lists. Because, you know, people, they're going to mess around with some stupid ideas. Like, well, you know, 3 talents is too much. You want to make it a 2 of. Even though it's probably, you're playing 44 cards. It's like, oh, I want to board brick some of the time, but not all of the time. Also going with the Exceed Encores down here again. That's kind of interesting. You know, depending on what your event's going to be, honestly, having these bounce around is not going to be necessarily one of the worst ideas that you can have. Next up here, we got more Malice for, wow, Malice really brought up the rear end in first place. Okay. Going with the Bastiles in here, Mr. Wizard himself. Both of the trap cards. Remember, you're behind if you play GWC according to the internet. LOL memes. 2 nibs, and of course, I see we are side decking the I Meet You. Makes sense, honestly. 4 Mall Charmies, 3 more in the side deck, and then of course Lancia, Droll and Lockboard, and the Board Boikas. Yup. Looks good. Well, I was more concerned about that Odion list, but it's really cool to see that synergy. So please, comment down below, tell me what you guys think, and I'll see your beautiful faces back here in the day, guys. Patrons, thank you. Ugh.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.